So one of the services I did in San Diego was for the deities, and it was soon to be Rath Yatra in San Francisco, and they're making new carts, and they needed new canopies. And so they put out a call for seamstresses, and somehow or other, Gunagraj Maharaj knew that I could sew and gave me the mercy to go up there to do that. So I went up about 5 days or so before the Rath Yatra, and I was sewing, sewing in the sewing room. So it was a few days before Prabhupada came, and so when Prabhupada came, there was, they called a press conference. As we know, when Prabhupada would come to places, they would try to get the media to come and things. And so the press was there, and he invited all the devotees. There wasn't that many of us, so it was really intimate. So Prabhupada had just flown in from somewhere, I'm not sure where, and he was telling me that, or telling us that the pilot came on the plane, and he actually sat next to Prabhupada and said, Your Grace, do you mind if I asked you some questions? And so Prabhupada, always the gracious host and always anxious to share Krishna consciousness. And the man was very thoughtful because he had a great question, and Prabhupada was relating this to us and also in the press conference. The man said, if God is good and all-loving and great, Prabhupada is, agreeing, he said, then why did God create evil? And Prabhupada was telling us. So I told them that the sun is shining, very bright, it's beautiful, but if you turn your back on the sun, you create a shadow. It's not God, it's not the sun's fault. You created the shadow by turning your back. So similarly, when people turn their back on God, then evil is there. And then Prabhupada looked very innocently at us and he said, was that all right? Did I give a good answer? And the devotees were just like clapping, and they said, oh, that was great, Prabhupada. And you could just see the very innocent, boy-like enthusiasm and really deep humility that he was really saying, was that all right? Did I give a good answer? And it was so cute and so endearing to me that he would really bring us in and share that with us. So that was really special. One of the things that I really appreciated about being in the presence of Prabhupada was the excitement that Prabhupada brought. Even though Prabhupada never came with a big fanfare and he always kept such a humble profile, the love of the devotees when Prabhupada would come was so exciting and so contagious that even as a new devotee, the time I came in late 74, 75, the movement was so big. There's thousands and thousands of devotees, and everyone was hankering to get, a little bit of nectar from Prabhupada. But Prabhupada was so large and so big in his presence and his love that no one ever felt left out, even though I didn't get to go on a morning walk or have a personal conversation with him. I felt so included. He was so inclusive in his personality and his love that it really just radiated from him. So you felt really satisfied. Even though the devotees were, doing more intimate things with him, just to stay back and, help cook for him or clean his room. You felt such a connection with him that you didn't have to be personally present with him at the time to feel the mercy, to feel the grace that was coming from him. And even though that there was so much fanfare around him, Prabhupada just kept that humble, very meek and very grave demeanor about him. Sometimes people would say, that Prabhupada didn't smile enough, or in his pictures or something, that he was, wasn't like other gurus and things, but that was Prabhupada's grace, really, that he wasn't flashy, that he was always giving the attention to Krishna and away from himself. And in doing that, that endeared us even more to Prabhupada and his wonderful legacy that he left for us and for future generations. And I'm just so grateful that I was able to be a part of that, and am still trying in my small way to push on Krishna consciousness and push on the wonderful qualities and the love that Srila Prabhupada had for all of us and will continue to have into the next generations to come.